Well, a group of homeless people in Cape Town is continuing its fight for justice after being fined for dumping objects and loitering. City of Cape Town officials confiscated valuables such as IDs and clothing from members of the group. The 7 homeless people are now back in the Western Cape High Court to challenge the constitutionality of the action. Ronald Masinda is following the story for us. He joins us now live from our Cape Town studio. So, Ronald, this is an unusual case. Take us through the background and the arguments presented.
Well, basically, Shahan, acting Western Cape High Court Judge Bernard Martins has ruled that the City of Cape Town should review its bylaws. This comes after months of complaints by especially ratepayers saying that around 3,000 complaints complaining about homeless people who have been living on the streets of Cape Town and also on private properties. Now, this has allowed the City of Cape Town's law enforcement to really clamp down. There was around 200 fines issued, some of these fines amounting to around 1,500 rand. Now, of course, today, 7 complainants appeared wanting to interdict against the City of Cape Town regarding these fines, and eventually all 3 parties, the City of Cape Town, those 7 people I just mentioned, and the Ratepayers Association, came together saying that they will reach a settlement and take this case out of court because they've been fighting against it for some time now. But the judge basically said that this matter needs to be reviewed further because it will be an ongoing case, not only affecting the 7 people that I just mentioned. But just to add further, Shahan, ratepayers, of course, are up in arms. They are saying that having homeless people is a danger to them in society because a lot of them are getting into criminal activity. A lot of them are not really there to be homeless, but just to live on the streets, to have their freedom so that they can use drugs. So let's take a listen to one of the attorneys that we spoke to earlier.
We have people who have already been dispossessed once by the apartheid regime. And what is happening now? They're being dispossessed again. I invite you to go through to District 6, go and have a look at that Justice Walk. These are people who are elderly, who've had to fight to get back to their homes. They are now being burgled. There are squatters defecating, urinating, littering, building fires in the southeastern. We had reports again last week of people setting fires there. Their children are being robbed. They're unsafe. How is that justice?
You also spoke to one of the homeless people. What are they saying?
Yes, a very interesting character, Shahan, a gentleman by the name of Sean Stradom. He's been living on the streets of Cape Town for about 3 years. He was in a very loving relationship, and unfortunately things didn't work out and he ended up on the streets. He says ever since he's been on the streets, he's been having serious hardships. He's spoken about issues where he was beaten down by thugs at one point, saying that sometimes when he's on the streets, some of the law enforcement officers, they confiscate his goods. He is a qualified chef, a person who has a profession, but unfortunately because it no longer has his ID and a lot of his stuff confiscated, he cannot get a job. So let's take a listen further to what he had to say.
Woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning from sleeping in the gardens, and we get kicked up. They take all our belongings. The winter that was very cold, they took all our beddings and everything from us. They threw it on their Isuzu bakkie and their trailer, and they drove it off. Where they took our belongings to, and that we sat there on the bench now with nothing. And it was really sad and it really hurt us. If it wasn't for super troopers and carpenters that actually bless us with clothes and that, we would actually have nothing.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Ronald Masinda is in Cape Town.